Je suis très contente d'être ici encore une fois pour discuter la situation en Ukraine et l'aide militaire pour l'Ukraine. Le Canada a déjà livré plus de 1 milliard de dollars en aide militaire pour l'Ukraine et plus de 5 milliards de dollars pour aide économique, humanitaire et militaire pour l'Ukraine. C'est un temps très important et nous sommes ici pour l'Ukraine dans le court et le long terme. I'm so happy to be back here at NATO to discuss the very important situation of military aid for Ukraine. We have already, as a country, announced 4 tanks to be sent to Poland, and that has already occurred. Those tanks are in Poland, and we are now training Ukrainian soldiers on the use of those tanks. So I am very pleased to say that in a very short amount of time since we made the announcement of 4 tanks to go to Ukraine, despite the geographical distance that Canada has from Ukraine, we have sent those tanks. They are on the ground, and we have 25 Canadian Armed Forces members in Poland training the Ukrainian Armed Forces members on the use of the Leopard 2A4 tanks. In terms of the objects that have been shot down in North America, we are continuing to search for the debris in central Yukon. We have deployed a number of aircraft to assist in that recovery effort. I want to indicate that the terrain is extremely rugged. It is extremely remote. The temperature is approximately minus 25 degrees Celsius there, and there is heavy snow. So the recovery effort is difficult, but as I said, we have a number of aircraft on the ground, in the air, and people on the ground. We have RCMP, we have FBI assistance, and we have obviously Canadian Armed Forces members that are assisting with this effort. Donc, je pourrais recevoir vos questions aussi.
Minister, it's for months now that ministers and also generals say that Ukraine is running out of ammunition, and now it seems that the Ukraine Defense Contract Group is going to answer to that. Why always this late reaction to something that is actually foreseeable for quite a long time?
I don't characterize this as a late reaction. I actually think that the members of the Defense Contract Group have been very forthcoming with aid over the past year. This is our 9th meeting or so. We are continually here to discuss what additional aid we can provide, including in the area of munitions. But let's just take a look from a Canadian perspective, for example, what has been put on the table. We have had anti-tank weapon system, we have had M777s, munition for the M777s, a NASAMS defense system, 200 vehicles, 39 additional armored vehicles from GDLS in Canada, over 50 cameras for drones. This is just the country of Canada. If you think about the membership in the Defense Contract Group being over 50 countries and the continual aid that is being put on the table, we will continue to step up in any way we can. And I will say that the process of the Defense Contact Group, and we are about to engage in that process right now, is for all of the members to sit around the table and to identify areas of need for Ukraine. We hear directly from Minister Resnikov, of course, and then we try to step up with the aid that we each have. And that's why we're putting 4 tanks on the table, the Leopard 2A4 tanks, but we will continue to be there for Ukraine in the short and the long term.
You just mentioned the 4 Leopard 2 tanks from Canada. How disappointed are you that apparently European allies are not delivering their Leopard 2 tanks so far?
Well, it is important from a Canadian perspective to continually put on the table any aid we possibly have. And we wanted to be amongst the first countries. So as soon as Germany released the permission for us to send the tanks, we were right out the door to do that. And that's the approach that Canada has taken from the very beginning. Make sure we are doing whatever we can to support Ukraine with whatever aid we have that it needs. In terms of other countries, we do hope that the work we are doing will play a leadership role in inspiring other countries to follow suit, and that's exactly what we are seeing. I have met frequently with my German, with my Polish, with my Spanish and Portuguese counterparts, for example, and I know that each of us is working as hard as possible to put aid on the table.
Minister, when do you think the tanks pledged by the allies and partners will reach Ukraine? Is there a timeline?
Well, let's make sure that we recognize the importance that Poland is playing in this process. When we met to discuss the sending of tanks, the Leopard 2A4 tanks in particular, we focused on the need for there to be a staging area where training could occur and where the spare parts and munitions would be located. Let's not forget the importance of the spare parts. These are tanks that could break down on the battlefield, and there needs to be a stable supply chain in place for replacement of parts that are broken down. And so the importance of the intermediary location in Poland is important for training. Canada having 25 trainers on the ground right now training Ukrainian teams on the use of these tanks is extremely important. And as soon as that process occurs, those tanks will be in use in Poland, in Ukraine.
Minister Anand, you spoke about the objects that have been shot down from the sky. Secretary General Stoltenberg says this may be part of a trend of increased surveillance. Are you going to be telling your European allies and counterparts to step up their own activities here when it comes to monitoring?
Well, let's first and foremost recognize the importance that NORAD plays. It was NORAD's first operation to shoot down that object over central Yukon on Saturday night. And NORAD actually occupies an important place on NATO's western flank. And so I want to stress the importance of our multilateral alliances first and foremost if that issue arises today and tomorrow. Secondly, in terms of patterns, I personally am reluctant to make a statement along those lines at this point. It is very early. We have not yet recovered the debris. We have not yet examined that wreckage. And I am a person that likes to deal in facts, and I will wait until the facts are presented to me from an analysis of that debris before making a statement relating to a pattern. I would also like to mention that there's intense collaboration regarding the analysis of the debris. We have the FBI involved, we have the RCMP involved, we have the Canadian Armed Forces involved, and several aircraft. And so this is a collaborative effort, and as we move through the process and retrieve the debris and undertake the analysis, we will have more to say.
Minister, what is your position on fighter jets for Ukraine, please?
This is a topic that may arise today, but the topic as a whole will be what aid we can provide to Ukraine in the short and the long term, et aussi le Canada est là pour l'Ukraine dans le court et le long terme. Merci beaucoup.